you want to hear details, but you don't. It's just I get this image in my head of God, what she must have been going through. And
Did you kill Christie Wilson?
No, I had nothing to do with her disappearance.
How could she simply disappear after she was with you?
I don't have answers for that.
He's a consistent narcissistic manipulator.
The family of Christie Wilson say they've been tormented by her whereabouts since she went missing some 15 years ago. Now, law enforcement officials are able to provide some closure for the family through their discovery after returning to the place at the center of this mystery all that time ago.
Looks like somebody smacked you under your eye. Well, I had a little accident with the tractor in the tree and got poison note on my face.
Christie Wilson is 27 years old. She grew up in San Jose, a standout athlete, good student, the kind of kid her mother Debbie still talks about with unmistakable pride. She had a stepdad named Patrick Boyd. He was a San Jose police detective. Christie grew up around law enforcement. She knew how to read people. She'd worked at a tech company near Sacramento after college, a job she loved. Then the dot-com crash hit and the job went with it. She moved back to San Jose, regrouped. A fresh start was already in the works. A new job offer in San Francisco. Things were turning around. That Tuesday, she drove up to Sacramento to collect the last of her belongings from her ex-boyfriend, Danny Berlando's apartment. She grabbed her things. That evening, she decided to stop at Thunder Valley Casino in Lincoln, California. She went alone. She liked blackjack. By most accounts, she was good at it. The casino's player tracking system logged Christie's card when she sat down at a blackjack table around 11 p.m. She'd been drinking a little. She was talking back to the dealer, having a good time, according to witnesses who were interviewed later. At 10:28 p.m., she spoke to Danny by phone. She told him she'd be heading home soon. That was the last conversation anyone who knew her ever had with her. At some point during the night, Christie reached into her purse to put her phone away. She missed. The phone slipped under the blackjack table. She didn't notice.
At quarter after 10 on Wednesday. It's now been 24 hours since I talked to you last, and I'm worried sick about you. Please call me. If you're okay, call me. If you're not okay, call me. Let me know what's going on.
Without her phone, what happened next would only be reconstructed through two things: casino surveillance footage and a player's card that wasn't hers. Security cameras captured Christie walking toward the casino exit. She wasn't alone. Walking beside her was a man in his 50s. At one point, he tried to put his arm around her. She pushed it away. At 1:13 a.m. on October 5th, the two of them stepped out of the casino together. 4 minutes later, the man's car left the parking lot. Christie Wilson was never seen alive again. 2 days passed before anyone raised an alarm. Danny Berlando called Christie's mother, Debbie Boyd. He said Christie had come to the apartment on October 4th. Then she left. He hadn't heard from her. Debbie Boyd filed a missing persons report. Investigators drove to Thunder Valley Casino. They pulled the surveillance tapes. They ran Christie's player's card data to reconstruct her movements. And then they looked at the footage of the man at the table beside her, the one who walked out with her. He had a player's card too. The card was registered to a 53-year-old man named Mario Flavio Garcia. He lived in Auburn, California. On paper, Mario Garcia looked like the last person you'd suspect. He worked as a project manager at a local hospital. He was married to a woman named Jean. He had 2 teenage sons. His family described him as a good father, dependable, present. Investigators ran a standard background check. That's when they found Wendy Ward. Wendy Ward met Mario Garcia in 1978 near Oakland. She was 26. He was 27. At first, and this is how these stories almost always begin, he seemed warm, intelligent, supportive. When she ended the relationship, Garcia grabbed her, forced her into his van, and drove to a secluded location. He held her by the neck. He told her, "You do anything. I will take your head and I will smash it." He raped her. He choked her. She was certain she was going to die. This happened more than once. When Wendy finally went to the police, Garcia was charged with rape, kidnapping, and assault with a deadly weapon. The charges were plea bargained down. He pleaded guilty to 1 count, assault with a deadly weapon. He was sentenced to 18 months probation, not a single day in prison. Wendy Ward moved on. She had no choice, but she never forgot what Garcia was capable of. I felt, after my own incident with him, that he could very easily do this again with someone else. She was right. After Wendy, Garcia dated a woman named Lynette. That relationship was also volatile. Lynette ended it. Sometime after that, Lynette disappeared. Her brother Tom Davis spoke about her years later. She was a lot of fun to be around, very outgoing. Lynette's disappearance was never conclusively solved. Garcia was never charged, but investigators noted it. They filed it.
Looks like somebody smacked you under your eye. Well, I had a little accident with the tractor in the tree and got poison oak on my face.
It sat there in the background like something half-buried. Detectives Murchison and Tavares drove to Garcia's home in Auburn. 4 days had passed since Christie Wilson was last seen. When Garcia came to the door, they noticed something. Scratches on his face, on his chest, a black eye. Nobody at the casino had seen those marks on him earlier in the night. Garcia said he'd fallen out of a tree. Because investigators had found his prior weapons conviction in the background check, they obtained a warrant to search the property. Inside, they found a handgun, a convicted felon in possession of a firearm. That was enough to arrest him. During processing at the station, Garcia's injuries were documented. He asked for a lawyer. Questioning stopped. But while Garcia sat in a holding room, investigators were already going through his car. What they found would change everything. Christie Wilson's hair was in the trunk of Mario Garcia's car. A pulled hair, the kind that comes out from the root. Her hair was also on the door handle, and on the door panel and the back seat, small drops of blood. Christie's blood, confirmed by DNA. No footage showed Christie getting into Garcia's car. The cameras had their limits, but the forensic evidence was unambiguous. It was clear that her presence was inside that vehicle, investigator Don Murchison would say later. When confronted with the DNA results, Garcia's response was to ask why only Christie's DNA was found, and not his wife's, his son's, anyone else who regularly rode in the car. Investigator Aaron Moriarty asked him directly, "By your own admission, you cleaned the car." Garcia acknowledged that he had cleaned it and taken garbage to the local dump. Shortly after he'd been seen cleaning that car, one of his sons noticed something else. Garcia had been working a tractor on their property. It was strange. Garcia was supposed to be at a soccer game. He'd made it clear he wasn't going. The boy was a teenager. He didn't know what to make of it. He filed it away. 3 weeks after Christie Wilson disappeared, Mario Garcia was charged with her murder. No body had been found. Placer County, 2006. This was the county's first ever no-body murder trial. Prosecutors were making a bet. If they lost, double jeopardy attached. Garcia walked free. Forever. A lot of investigators and district attorneys' offices are afraid to take that challenge on, Murchison explained. If you can't prove it and you lose the case, that's the last time you can try. They tried anyway. The trial ran for 2 months. 90 witnesses testified. Garcia took the stand in his own defense. He said Christie Wilson was never in his car. He had no idea how her hair or blood got there. He said they'd gambled together, walked into the parking lot, said goodnight, and went their separate ways in separate cars. He drove home alone. His defense attorney made the argument that without a body, there was no proof Christie was even dead. The jury didn't accept it. On January 11, 2007, Mario Garcia was found guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to 59 years to life. After the verdict, his wife Jane and his 2 sons severed all contact with him. Garcia maintained his innocence. He filed appeals for years. He never once told investigators where Christie's body was. He never told her family. Debbie Boyd, Christie's mother, 5'1", blonde, and furious in the specific way that grief turns into fuel, did not stop. She kept calling the investigators, she kept asking questions, she kept following up. The attorneys who worked the case later said she turned grief into action. "I want my daughter back," she'd told 48 Hours. They just met a barracuda and the fight's on. Investigators never stopped looking either. They used helicopters, dive teams, cadaver dogs, search and rescue crews, human hikers. They combed Placer County and Nevada County. They searched Scott's Flat Lake, a spot Garcia was known to fish, twice in separate years. Nothing. 6 weeks after Christie's disappearance, a search crew found a bag in a wildlife area outside Spenceville in Yuba County. Inside the bag, rope, packaging tape, and a small rubber ball on a leather strap. Bondage items and strands of hair, later linked to Christie Wilson. It suggested Garcia may have driven through that area with Christie. Investigators speculated he then traveled south through Nevada County to Auburn. But Christie herself, her body, was nowhere. For 13 years after the conviction, she stayed missing. 14 years after Christie Wilson disappeared. 13 years after Garcia went to prison. Investigators Murchison and Tavares made a decision. They went back to Garcia's sons. The boys were adults now. They'd cut off their father years ago. And they agreed to talk. One of them mentioned something he'd carried for a long time. He remembered seeing his father on a tractor, working the property behind their house in Auburn. The timing was strange, as it was the same period Christie had gone missing. He remembered it specifically because he had a soccer game that day. He'd wanted his father to come. His father made it clear he wasn't going. At the time, the boy had no reason to connect any of it. He was a teenager. His father was a complicated man he didn't fully understand. Now he was an adult, and the detail meant something different. Investigators went back to Garcia's former home in Auburn. The property was now 4.5 acres owned by new residents. The new owners agreed to let the investigation proceed. The week of August 17, 2020, detectives and investigators from the Placer County Sheriff's Office and the District Attorney's Office moved through the property with ground-penetrating radar, technology that reads beneath the Earth's surface and flags inconsistencies in soil density. The radar identified several areas of interest. In one of those areas, they began to dig. They found skeletal remains, no clothing, no jewelry, nothing but bones in the ground of the man's former backyard. The remains were transported to the Placer County morgue. Dental records confirmed what the investigators already believed. Christie Wilson, age 27, missing since October 5, 2005. She had been there the whole time, on his property, buried by a tractor while her family searched lakes and mountains and wildlife areas across 2 counties. "We had a body," Nuno Tavares said simply.
Placer County, the body of Christie Wilson has been found 15 years after she was kidnapped from Thunder Valley Casino.
Yeah, deputies say this is the result of Christie's family and detectives never giving up. Now, this discovery doesn't change anything about the killer's case, but it does bring Christie's family some peace. Deputies say her killer, Mario Garcia, did not lead them to the body. They say he has never made an honest effort to cooperate on this case.
Debbie Boyd stood at a press conference on August 24, 2020.
Today is an absolute joyous day. It's a day that for 14 and a half years, I and my family have traveled a journey, and to this day that we have so longed for.
Debbie Boyd, the mother of Christie Wilson, finally getting some closure.
It's a day of peace, a peace that we haven't had. And we are so happy to finally be able to close this chapter of torment.
But even after months of searching, Wilson's body was never found until last week. That's when detectives returned to Garcia's former home in Auburn. This is drone video of that 4.5-acre property. They had searched here before several times, but this time they found her, thanks to new underground technology and some new information.
Ground penetrating radar. It wasn't until we used that ground penetrating radar that we were able to get a more narrow defined area to search where we located her.
Placer County Sheriff Devin Bell says they never stopped looking for Wilson.
We've all been longing for closure, and today we can move one step closer.
The Placer County DA calls this a great day for justice.
That jury had a difficult task. They got it right. And they knew it, and we all knew it.
This is an example of the greatest level of perseverance of a police department. I mean, seriously, these men worked tirelessly on this case. They persevered.
It was a knock on Debbie's Scottsdale, Arizona home one warm August night. Placer County detectives, who worked countless hours on Christie's case, packed a bag and came here to hop on a plane. They wanted to tell Debbie in person.
I'm standing in front of my door in Scottsdale, Arizona,
I was kind of just in a fog, like, what are you doing here? And I went, oh my gosh, did you find her? And they shook their head yes. And with that, I think I went into shock a bit. And I kept asking them, are you sure? Are you absolutely sure? And they said, yes, we are. We're absolutely sure.
The discovery, officials noted, would have no effect on Garcia's sentence. He was already serving 59 years to life. He was already dying. Mario Flavio Garcia died on December 24th, 2020, Christmas Eve. He was 68 years old. He died in prison of pneumonia.
New tonight, a notorious Sacramento area killer has died behind bars. Mario Garcia, convicted of killing Christie Wilson in 2005, died of pneumonia on Christmas Eve.
Some reports say complications from COVID-19.
I feel we do now have a sense, although bittersweet, there is a sense of peace. We can, the torment of not knowing where she is, coming up with a million different scenarios in our own head, that is gone. I can let that go now. And we can bring her home and give her a proper and respectful burial that she so deserves.
He never expressed remorse. He never explained himself. He never told investigators what happened in those hours between 1:17 a.m. on October 5th, 2005, and the moment he came home and started cleaning his car. Before he died, however, his family had finally given investigators the one detail that mattered: the tractor, the property, the son who remembered a morning his father skipped a soccer game. Debbie Boyd said his death gave the family tremendous peace. We never gave up on trying to find Christie. Don Murchison said later, "We looked for her for 15 years. Her family trusted us with the most precious thing they had in their lives, their daughter. We were going to bring her home." They did.